Hi, welcome to Old Anvil Speed Shop. In this video, we're going to show you a little behind the scenes of how a true professional repairs old dented sheet metal. Sergio has 30 years of metal work and fabrication experience, and he's going to put that talent to work repairing all the dents in the roof of this Willys Wagon and restoring the roof's structural integrity. Before we get too far into it, we'll get you up to speed on this new to us project. This 4x4 Willys Wagon was dropped off at our shop, already fitted with a bunch of quality upgrades. It's rolling on a set of 35-inch tires with method wheels. Then underneath are high pinion, heavy-duty Curry 44 axles, front and rear, fitted with Willwood disc brakes. For suspension, the Willys is currently sitting on a set of leaf springs with Fox shocks. If you haven't noticed it yet, it's also got an upgrade in the powertrain department too, with a 430 horse LS3 backed by a 4L65E with an Atlas II transfer case. While the Willys Wagon is far from complete, it's already looking the part, so we can't wait to see it when it's done. Actually, we don't have to wait until it's done because Jeff Allison already whipped up a sweet rendering to show the end goal for the build. The owner wants to turn this Willys into the ultimate 4x4 surf wagon with a paint scheme to match his street rod. Alright, time to get back to work. Sergio's already put in a bunch of hours repairing rust and some holes left over from 60 years of life as a beach-going surf wagon. Now he's moved his attention to bringing the roof back to its former glory. What's the problem? There are dozens of dents and dings scattered around this thin sheet metal roof. The more you look, the worse it gets. As Sergio explains it, all those little dings have released the original tension of the metal. You can see how bad it is when he barely presses the center of the roof. It just pops in and out like an empty tin can. So, not only will repairing those little dents make it look way better, but it'll restore the original rigidity of the roof. Like most repair projects, tools make all the difference. Sergio grabbed a variety of body hammers, dollies, and spoons. Every dent and every step of the repair process is a little different, so having options is crucial to getting the job done right. Another crucial step Sergio takes is to make sure his hammers are always polished up and ready to go. Not only will that help them look good on video, but a worn hammer can transfer any imperfections to the metal surface you're trying to fix, which would be pretty counterproductive. Other tools include a block sander, orbital DA sander, Dicom, and, the two most interesting, a shrinker disc and a wet rag. But we'll get to those in a minute. Now, the first step of the dent repair is probably no surprise to most. Sergio uses a hammer and dolly to work out the majority of a dent. A quick block sand shows where the high and low spots are and tells him where to focus his attention next. From the top, he can see where the low spots are because they're darker than the surrounding areas. Then he can use a sheet metal hammer on the inside of the roof with a dolly on the outside. On the high spots, he does the reverse with a hammer on the outside and the dolly on the inside. Once it's as good as it gets with the hammer and dolly, it's time to bring out the shrinker disc. This isn't like a grinder that removes metal. You never want to thin old sheet metal more than you have to on an old vehicle like this. Instead, it uses friction from the stainless steel disc to build heat into the metal and relax those little imperfections. Then to tighten everything up, Sergio quickly grabs a wet rag and wipes down the hot surface to cool it. Now, working dents out and restoring tension into the roof takes plenty of patience and skill, even on the quote easy areas. So what happens when you got something like an inner structure obscuring the underside of a dent? That's where the experience and correct use of tools really comes into play. Sergio begins by using a long sheet metal spoon to lever against the inner structure brace and start pressing out the deepest part of the dent. Then he sprays Dykem over the area and hits it with a sanding block to help him see the problem area better. Since a traditional dolly can't be used on the underside, he used the spoon again with a hammer on the outside to continue working out that dent. For those low spots he needs to attack from the underside, he uses a different body hammer that he can just barely fit between the inner structural piece and the roof. Using a straight edge, Sergio checks the damage area to see how it's lining up with the rest of the roof. It's looking pretty good, but it could be better, so time to bring out that shrinking disc again. Just like the earlier section, he heats up the surface with a shrinking disc, then quickly cools it with the wet rag. Sometimes it takes a few heat and shrink cycles in slightly different areas to get it all just right. At this point, Sergio admits that it was technically looking good enough, but his MO is not just good enough, so he decides to work on it a little more. Another coat of Dykem, followed by a quick blocking, reveals those spots he still needs to work out. The leftover purple Dykem shows the areas that are just slightly lower than the surrounding sheet metal, and then those darker spots are the even deeper imperfections. So back to work with the hammer and dolly. To give him something more sturdy to hammer against and get out those little deep dents, Sergio wedges the sheet metal spoon in tight using the wood handle of a wire brush. One last round with the shrinking disc tightens everything back up. Then he can use an orbital DA sander with a mild abrasive to clean up the surface so he can see it a little better. This time the straight edge shows the dented area is looking pretty darn perfect. By the end of the day, Sergio had the whole driver's side of the wagon all smoothed out and tightened up like it should be. If you want to see more videos on this 4x4 Willys Wagon or any of our other ongoing projects, consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one.